All right, you are listening to Terra Monstrum, our show where we cover all things cult, horror, science fiction, pretty much anything culty. It's kind of hard to come up with a slogan for things that are culty because really, it's like society deems what is culty. But Terra Monstrum is our podcast where we review cult.
Yeah, me and Chauncey need to indoctrinate ourselves into our own podcast a little more first. We're getting closer to a bona fide tagline every single episode.
I always have this problem. I need it typed out in front of me.
Yeah.
What exactly am I doing?
I think a few more chants, a little more goof juice, and we're gonna have something, Chauncey.
All right. This week we're talking about Bird Box. Of course, it's a huge hit on the Netflix. It was actually kind of a sleeper hit. It's like everybody made fun of it for a while, and then the memes came out, and then it blew up, and now it's like hugely popular. And I don't know. Let's start off. What did you think, Tyler?
I enjoyed it. Here's what I think of when it comes to Bird Box. I view Bird Box as what would have happened if The Happening was good.
Yeah. I come from a different angle where I do think The Happening was good.
Oh, buddy.
I know.
That's a whole different podcast. Tune in next week for Chauncey Likes The Happening.
Yeah.
What, why, and how.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, Bird Box sort of fit into this whole it completed the hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil thing that horror films had gone through.
It's true.
We had the one, I forget what it was called, where they couldn't say stuff, keep quiet or something like that. And then we had the silence one.
Yeah, we had the one where they couldn't say it, like they couldn't even think. Remember that one?
Is that the Office one?
No, there's one where they're not allowed to think. Like basically, it's if you say it, it comes true. There's some word, an evil word, and an evil monster, and evil coins. I do not remember the name of it.
All right, you're gonna have to message me that one.
Basically, they're trying to keep themselves from even thinking at that point.
Right. Okay. So this is the newest in a long run of this specific type of sensory horror or whatever it should be called. Right.
I think that's a good name.
And I liked it. I don't know. What'd you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I thought the pacing was really good. For those of you who haven't seen it, it does intercut to the present as our hero, Sandra Bulluck, is trying to save her children and get from, one point to another. But this is, I think, 3 years past the main event of the movie where, everybody's killing themselves. So, they're intercutting her present day story with basically how it all happened and how she got to where she's at now.
Right.
Floating down a river trying to save these two kids.
Right. And that right there, I think, will answer some of the concerns that people had, because when I went into it, I'm just all, do I really want to watch a 2-hour movie about some chick in a blindfold? Am I really at this point in my life where
I can just go put a sheet over my head and put on scary music.
Right.
If I want to do that.
So that backstory really helped out. And, there was a little bit more going on story-wise, as there always is. I just kind of look, I judge books by their cover, just like everybody else, I guess.
No, I thought it was enjoyable. I thought the performances were good. I thought they stayed away from, I guess, as many tropes as they could. I mean, they still had the, who are the famous players? We've got John Malkovich as a curmudgeonly guy who's drinking himself to death, basically, and, screw everybody. Why are you all acting with any emotion? I'm illogical, da-da-da.
Right, and, it was a little too shoved down our throat, but I mean, I understood the necessity for that character.
Yeah. And then we did have, of course, a dumb character who lets the bad guys in and manages to ruin the house on her own. So
yeah, totally. My favorite is that couple who just are all like, oh my God, we're all dying. It's the apocalypse. We should have sex on the laundry porch.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I'm just all like, I'm a pretty typical red-blooded heterosexual American. I'm not saying anything about anybody else, but something that I think we all understand from 80s movies like Meatballs.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys. And during the apocalypse, I gotta say, I don't think that would cross my mind.
I feel like I've never been in a terror sex scenario without shots.
No, no,
Like
no.
there is that. I don't know that I've ever done anything scary enough or had anything scary enough happen to me
Yeah, yeah.
where I could get the adrenaline of this horrible instance confused with my penis. So
Yeah, yeah, totally. I get that we live in a world where people are just all like, yeah, whip me, treat me like a pachyderm. It's great. But I make like no connection there, no connection whatsoever. And every time I see it in a movie, I'm just, oh, whoa, these people are crazy.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
that's what I think. Also, I don't know, explaining that when somebody walks in, like, sorry.
yeah,
I know the world's ending outside and you're terrified, but I got really horny and I needed to take care of this right now.
this is how I wanted to go out. You know. Yeah, totally ridiculous. I found that was my only truly disappointing non-realistic moment of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean,
No, I think that was the biggest stretch by far.
but before I start insulting more things, I'll put in some of my compliments. And for one, I was really sort of enamored, even though it was a small part, by Sarah Paulson.
Well, I mean, it's Sarah Paulson number one. Like she's basically, she's a treasure of our times. She's a great actress and continues to do horror, much to my delight and probably the confusion of her manager. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I thought Sandra Bullock did really well.
yeah, yeah, me
My
too.
complaint about Sandra Bullock is, and no insult to her, she's a very
Mm.
beautiful woman, but I felt that she was a little Botoxy.
Yeah.
And I felt that it was kind of, when I would look at her, I'm just all, I'm not getting the end of the world vibe out of this situation.
Okay, okay. So when you say Botox, you mean more like a little too put together.
A little too put together.
Like she
Yeah.
looked like a woman who's still possibly putting on makeup every day. Is that
Yeah. And also a little Botoxy.
yeah. Yeah.
you know, I just found it her to be a little too. Well, I think Sarah Paulson's really pretty too. It's not a pretty thing. There was just something about her,
Yeah.
that was pulling me out of it.
Now I understand, but that is the Hollywood we live in at this point, and I don't know. Every time I see somebody's lips get bigger, I think it's weird, but I guess if you live in a place where beauty standards say everybody's lips should get bigger every year,
Yeah,
eventually you're into it.
Right. It's
So,
like a cultural disparity. I just don't get it. Yeah.
yeah, I don't get it either. I think it's very strange, but I also think these like insulated communities of wealthy people doing odd things to themselves to stay young is also it's a world I don't live in. So
Yeah, well, even in my day-to-day conservative Northern California town,
mhm.
m- my wife, who I should illustrate, neither of us are conservative, but we live in a town that is,
Mhm.
and she'll be gussying herself up to go out, and sometimes she wears this lipstick that's a plumper.
Mhm.
And apparently what this stuff does is it irritates your lips so they swell up a little bit.
Yeah, I think they use bee venom.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't notice too much, but she always says that she's wearing it, and I'm just all like, that is just so weird that you're like basically rubbing toxins on your lip.
It
She won't use any product that has like parabens or BPAs or anything, but
Mhm.
she'll rub bee venom on her lips to go out and have some vodka. It's
Yeah.
like,
No, that's have you brought it up to her exactly that way and seen what response she gives you?
it's even worse than that. She brought it up to me exactly.
Oh no.
No.
So she recognizes what she's doing and she's
Oh,
still
yeah.
doing it.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. She's got her bachelor's in sociology. All she does is recognize this.
Okay, she's on top of it then.
Yeah. She doesn't know what's wrong with her either.
And now
All right.
here's Chauncey's wife telling us why she puts bee venom on her.
Yeah. That'll be some bonus content.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, complaint wise, I have my typical Netflix complaint, and I really wonder, and I think we've talked about it before,
Mhm.
how these movies get on Netflix. I mean, aren't they gunning for the theater and they didn't make it and Netflix picked it up?
Well, I think this one was made specifically for Netflix.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think this was a theater loss leader or anything, because Sandra Bullock doesn't need to be doing movies that can't make it into a theater,
Right,
especially horror movies. Like, she's at the top of her game right now still. So
right. So she's gunning for the new medium, probably.
yeah, that
Yeah.
would be my guess.
Well, with most of these Netflix films, I think you referred to it the other day as fitting an hour-long movie into an hour and a half long slot.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it was necessarily a whole half hour, but I mean, this movie probably needed about 15 minutes more story and dialogue to fill this time that it used.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. It definitely doesn't answer any questions. So people who like a movie where, you really understand the what and the whys of it at the end, you're not going to get that here. You're not going to find out where the creatures came from. You're not going to find out exactly what they are. You're not going to find out why they're doing what they're doing. And I think more egregiously for me, um, there is a sect of people in the movie who are capable of seeing this monster, but then not killing themselves. And
Right.
we do
So
not find out what
hold
the
on,
psychological difference is, really.
hold on. Let's throw out the disclaimer. We're about to move on to some potential spoilers. Pause now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, I feel like
Go
the
ahead. I agree.
podcast is the spoilers.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
never know, but
Yeah.
this is one of those ones where it's a mystery
Yeah.
and you're doing your thing. Okay, so you're right. We never ever see the critter.
Yeah, and I'm fine with not seeing the critter. Like, it's enough for me to know that it has mass and can't just get through a door or something. We do see it move leaves around when it goes through something. So I mean, they have mass, they do exist. It's not in people's heads. It's a physical creature. But when someone sees it, hypothetically, they then see uh, something that makes them want to kill themselves, whether it's the worst thing they've ever awful horror or what, we don't quite know, whether it's telling them awful things about themselves. We get little tastes of it, but presumably it's different for everybody. And there is a group of people who basically formed a death cult around these monsters who want people to see it, because we get news that some of them might have been from a mental hospital, so there could be a psychological break there that lets them see it and not kill themselves. But we don't really find out why.
Right. And that's one part that really really made me curious because I always want to know this stuff. I'm sure other people do, but I think I probably put way too much emotional investment into wanting to know it
Yeah.
compared to most. And so what do you think? Do you think it was like science fiction aliens or do you think it was like demonic divine?
Uh, I mean, I hadn't considered it really. I would say demonic, divine type creatures. Um, it didn't feel alien to me. Also, because I mean, we don't even know what these things use for resources. Like, it didn't feel like they came to our planet for any particular purpose, you know? Like, it's not a horror movie where they're coming to get our gold to fuel their rocket ships,
Or to put in their
or
atmosphere?
or get our water or get our food or whatever. Like,
Yeah, but the xenomorphs, that's all they did is they put them down on a planet, they killed everybody, and then they died off, and then they could take over the planet,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, but those certainly, like, a xenomorph is designed to be a death machine.
Yeah.
So
I,
this,
I was definitely feeling more science fiction potential here
mhm.
than paranormal.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you felt more like aliens than,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but now that you say that, I definitely see that I probably should have leaned it the other way, that probably was some sort of spiritual potential here. And which makes me think of the other movie that this reminded me of that I didn't bring up earlier, and that's
Mhm.
Pulse. Did you see Pulse?
I feel the memory of Pulse floating around in my brain, but I
It
can't
was
peg it.
Kristen Bell, and ghosts were coming through technology, and they had to ditch their phones, and the guy was all wrapped in red in the room because
Kristen Bell, isn't that the one that I thought she was in the one with the video game? Is that
maybe
Pulse?
which
I
video
thought
game?
The one where there's a video game, and if you play it and die in the game, then you die that way in real life.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Okay,
I avoided that one.
It's not a good movie, and I recall Kristen Bell being in that one,
Uh,
but I don't recall Pulse.
yeah, she's an enigma. One of those people that's like considered totally credible by society, but most of her films are terrible.
This is true.
Yeah, yeah. So, Bird Box, I was really disappointed that I didn't have a little more of an answer. So I really kind of want a sequel so that we can get some backstory.
Yeah, it is based off a book, and unfortunately, I know that there's no sequel to the book. So
Right. Not
I
yet.
feel like,
Not yet.
yeah, I feel like odds are very slim we would ever get a sequel.
And apparently,
To the
the
film.
writer Josh Mallerman was the singer for a rock band, The High Strung. Are you familiar with this band?
I am not.
Me neither.
No.
It's sort of indie. From what I've read about him, indie. I just hadn't had a chance to listen to him. And so Josh Mallerman has actually been picked up by Netflix for a new series. I guess they liked Bird Box to the point where they've now picked him up for a series.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Seeing how we haven't heard of his band and we're both band guys,
Yeah.
it's
Haven't
it's
heard of his
probably
band. We'll see how his other work shakes out.
it's probably
Netflix.
good that he diversifies.
Yeah.
So, in the end, my view of this movie is very excited, very into it, chasing all this stuff, a few slight disappointments, and at the end, I'm all like, what? And that's pretty much my view of Bird Box. You know, did you walk away thinking like, hey, that was great? Or
I walked away thinking like that was a fine film. Not it's not one that I would go back and watch again. It's not one that I'd consider a classic.
right? Yeah, I could see that. You know.
Yeah.
I think I brought it up before that I've been ruined by Tolkien and Robotech. Like I expect epics, I expect all answers, I expect the romantic side story characters to find out what's up with their grandchildren. You know, it's like I've been ruined by these sort of epics that I love.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say it doesn't have to reach that in order to give us just a little bit more as far as world building goes.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I mean, really, to me, the fact that somebody can survive this and then gets, when they're touched by the creature and they survive it, they get this weird stuff in their eyeballs, like shaking around in their irises.
Right.
Like, what is that? And why are they able to survive? Like, it's certainly not giving you enough to bring in this whole layer of death cult that survives it and then can serve its purposes somehow. Like, the what and why of that is huge and could be its own like 4-episode part in a story, like in a TV show.
Absolutely, and that's where the sequel lies. If ever they make one, is in this death cult. You can think, sort of like maybe down the lines of the Omega Man from the 70s kind of death cult thing. Absolutely. It was really cool. And that whole death cult really is the part that piqued my interest the most because it was easily the most horrific part of the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
but I got to say, Netflix, awesome. They keep putting out good stuff.
They do. All right, we are going from invisible monster creatures to gigantic, very visible monster creatures with everyone's not so favorite new shark movie, The Meg. Will it go down in history as the next Jaws? No. Did we watch it anyway? Yes.
I think it'll go down in history as the next Deep Blue Sea.
I don't think it will. I don't think it will because Deep Blue Sea had so much going for it with the ludicrous premise of hyper-intelligent sharks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Nope. And unless they're making that Megalodon also hyper-intelligent, it can never be the next Blue Sea.
And I might be too old for you to catch this reference, but it might also go down in history as the next Deep Star 6.
Shoot. I'd need to rewatch Deep Star 6 because I've seen most of those underwater horror movies.
It was like the Peter Weller ripoff of
the Peter
Leviathan.
Weller with the fish monster in it, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah. So, for full transparency, I have to say I have another podcast that's a paranormal radio show that talks about paranormal stuff, and we actually had an episode where we talked specifically about the megalodon.
Oh my
And
word! Are you double dipping? Jesus, Chauncey.
and so I went into this with like some like expectation, going like, oh man, at least there'll be some interesting stuff in here also for this other thing, and there was not.
No, no.
There was not. Um, all right, how do we even start here?
I don't
Was it
know.
a good film?
I feel like it's a movie in two parts. Because honestly, the first half of it, I was on board and I liked a lot of the character interactions. And then the second half for me is where like it took a dive in quality.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Well, the whole second half, all the boat scenes, it's not easy to make a film on boats that doesn't look low budget.
Yeah.
Because I think just how tight all the shots have to be because you're on a boat. It's like, unless you can afford several other boats, like that are bigger than your boat.
Yeah.
You're probably just not getting those shots.
Yeah. No, the sense of scale definitely
Right.
gets dialed in, and you're like, oh yeah, this is taking place in a giant swimming pool. This is for sure not the ocean.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're right. At the beginning, I was like on board. It was all like high tech and stuff. I'm all right.
I liked it better as a like we're trying to find a shark movie versus a we found a shark movie,
or the shark found us.
Yeah. No, it worked better when it was off screen.
Right.
Honestly.
And Jason Statham, I like him. I like him in his crappy little action films. They're a great Sunday watch. I like this stuff. He's all right. He fits the mold. He fits the mold of the ridiculous action character guy. And so I get getting him. The girl, his love interest, to me was terrible.
I mean, let's give her credit for doing a movie in a language that's obviously not her native language.
Yes, of course. I always like to point out that I'm an American. I barely speak one language, while all these other people speak multiple languages, and I am totally impressed by that.
Yeah, no. I know for a fact this movie was a rousing success financially, predominantly because of the Chinese market, and it was I think it was like a dual production almost.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This is one of those cases. This is one of those cases where you give this movie to a Chinese audience. They go, "Oh, look, it's a Chinese movie, and we got some American stars in it. Sweet." And you give it to an American audience, and they go, "Oh, it's an American movie, and we've got some Chinese stars in it. Cool."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, where else are you going to be able to find the production value to have literally thousands of people in bathing suits running on a beach?
This is true.
It's like you cannot afford that in Hollywood.
No. Only if you're willing to scale it down and put it in Middle America, a la Piranha.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But a lot of these movies have been doing that. Even big budget Marvel films seem to be doing that with Doctor Strange and some of these where they're taking place in other countries. And I've often thought, is this for like a global view? Is this for a global market?
It is 100%, Chauncey.
Yeah.
Like your thought process is spot on.
Yeah.
Because when your movie doesn't have to necessarily succeed in your home country to be a major success. I mean, as far as like calculating how much you can lose and whether or not you can fund a film, it makes it a lot easier on the producers.
Yeah.
To have that global reach.
Right. I agree. And I like it. I don't mind it, although as an American, it concerns me a little bit because of our economy, and we don't really export much. And if we stop making movies in Hollywood, man, I mean, like, what else do we got?
What do we have?
Right. So we might want to hold that treasure a little closer to our heart before we start giving it away.
Just pain and suffering. The only export we need.
We already gave crap science fiction television to Canada.
Yeah.
So it's like...
We did. Everything is shot in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Everything under the sun.
X-Files.
Yeah, yeah. If you look at the sky and you're like, "Where's the sun?" in any of these scenes, it's because it's shot in Vancouver.
You're all, no, that's because it's primeval, you know? Yeah. All right.
All right,
So,
I want to go back to the beginning of the Meg real quick.
all right, hit me.
And this is one of my biggest movie beefs of all time, and they come out swinging with it. And that's somebody offended at somebody else for not saving some lives that they couldn't have possibly saved ever.
Right.
So I looked at the timing. For those of you who haven't seen this, for the first little bit of the movie, nobody believes there was a shark. Jason Statham swears he saw it, blah, blah, blah. Rescue scene. He leaves some people behind to save some other people. But the point is, one of the people he saves is like, you could have saved our friend. You let him die. Between the time that Jason Statham decides he's not he should go back and possibly save these people, and the time that the submarine blows up, he's got about 10 seconds. Like, right. There's no doubt that everyone would have died if he'd gone back in that boat.
Right, but so nobody's willing to say.
What the hell is wrong with that guy? What's wrong with all of these people?
Totally.
I hate it.
If I was in that situation, I would probably be all like, screw you guys, I'm not going to hang out with you because obviously we weren't that good of friends to begin with.
Right? I would be thanking
I would not
Statham every day of my life for making the hard call.
I would not move to Thailand and become a boat drunk.
No.
Or whatever it is he became. You know?
No, especially because he knows he's right. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had 10 seconds before that underwater submarine blew up. It was not enough time to get in the submarine and get people back.
Yeah. I had the same problem with iRobot. Will Smith's all pissed because the robot saved him. It's just all like, I mean, you can lobby against that stuff, but you need to chill.
Right?
You're not going to get anything done with this attitude.
Yeah, you got your life saved.
Right.
Stop being rude about it.
Right. Use that. Use that life, Okay. So pretty much I think we're in agreement that this movie is absolutely awful, but at the same time, it really is quite beautiful in its sort of crappy, like with a few twists, this could have been a great movie. Like if John Carpenter had directed it or something like that, if it was like shamelessly an action film with some style, like Assault on Precinct 13.
And if it stayed underwater, I think just that alone would have been beneficial.
Yeah, nobody left.
If nobody ever left the undersea base, that would have been a better setting for this film.
Nobody ever left entirely. Everybody was just, let's fight the big shark. And nobody was just all, no, I'm getting out of here. I'm taking my daughter and I'm going,
Yeah, speaking of the daughter, I did like the snippets between Jason Statham and the little kid.
Yeah, they were cute.
Yeah.
They were cute and, as realistic as Jason Statham in real life could be, I guess.
Yeah.
And that was well done. And she was really cute and really sort of did a good job of nailing the pop culture that's hitting her generation right now, I think.
Yeah. And she, she's a jaded child, which is always entertaining in a movie like this. I would prefer a jaded for their age child than a little idiot who just gets in trouble all the time. Yeah. She was definitely oddly wise beyond her years. Yeah. No, she's got the line, Mom said she needs more time because she was married to an asshole. I thought that was good. Also, I enjoyed that they had the giant shark kill the baby whale in front of everyone.
Right.
Yeah. Fan of that scene.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna get into script and I'm sorry to do this, Chauncey, but we've got to bring up race in this one.
All right, well, let's do that now then. Let's see.
All right. The character DJ, who is hypothetically a scientist, I'm assuming he's at the minimum like a highly trained marine biologist. They give him all of the stupid, like, here's a summary of what's happening, said in the dumbest way possible lines in this film. And that for me was really where it all started falling apart and the lines got worse and worse. Like, I think the first real line he gets is, yeah, but not before a prehistoric bloodthirsty killing machine decided to come up and say hi. And And then for like 10 lines after that, every single one of his lines is just another version of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is the comedic relief always brown people?
Why? Why? And why do they have like he's a scientist. He's a scientist. Just
Right.
let him be a scientist.
Right. He has degrees, man.
He does. He went to school.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
That and we don't need a dumb summary of what's happened in the film. It's
Oh.
not a long movie.
Yeah.
It's not a complicated movie.
Yeah,
Like,
the play-by-play can piss me off.
Yeah, not necessary for me.
I agree, and in this world that is so hyper aware of race, you would think that somebody would have brought that up in the boardroom, unless they're so aware that nobody was willing to bring it up, and they all just sort of made eye contact and assumed everybody else was cool with it and didn't want to talk about it.
That's what I feel like happens in all of those meetings. I think you're spot on, Chauncey.
Really? Because I'm really shocked when some of this stuff gets through.
No, I think it's on the tip of a bunch of people's tongues, and then nobody says anything.
Right. It's like Cloud Atlas. Like, oh, blackface is bad, but we'll make him Asian. It's like, how did that go?
Yeah.
And if I was a man or a woman in a past life, wouldn't I look just like me, only a woman? They didn't do that.
No.
It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Also, I didn't see Cloud Atlas, so I'm just pretending I know what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, you need to watch it in the same way that you needed to watch Jupiter Ascending, because it's just terrible and you need to know.
Okay. I've listened to enough podcasts ripping on Jupiter Ascending that I know I don't want to see it.
Well, they're both the Wachowskis.
They are both the Wachowskis.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know.
But,
okay, so race, there's always, I think we were also talking about what Deep Star 6 was ripping off, and that was Leviathan, and they have that, and then I think in Deep Blue Sea, LL Cool J was the cook, and he was this sort of like streetwise, sort of grown out of potential gang life.
But at least he's a cook
on an undersea science station. No, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but at the very minimum there, at least he's just on the station to cook. Not like, I'm a marine biologist and all I could do is summarize what's happening in the scene right now.
Right. Well, what these movies really need is like an old white man named Swabby who just swabs the deck and does all the sort of lame.
I like that, Chauncey. I'm gonna lobby to get Swabby in more movies. I think that's something that should happen.
You know what you got there? You got yourself one of them damn blood-eating, curdling, prehistoric shark thingies.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Swabby can say whatever he wants to, and it's not gonna offend me.
Well, that's my theory with jokes at the bar. I always tell pirate jokes because nobody at the end of the bar stands up and says, "Hey, my daddy was a pirate." It's like that just doesn't happen. You're safe there. But all right, so you said you got some script views. Let's hear these.
Some what?
Script.
Oh, yeah. Well, particularly when I was talking about DJ's character was my largest script complaint.
Oh, this sort of like hand feeding us the story as it goes.
Yeah. I just like, no, we should be so far beyond that going into a movie at this
like
point.
This. Yeah, and like this, in Blade Runner where they did the voiceover and stuff, I'm just all right, that's lame, but I get it on some level. In this one, I'm just all like, if you don't know what's going on here, you stuck out of the house and you're 5.
Yeah. But like even the big shark action sequences in this were not terribly exciting, and felt very, I don't know, very small. Like they have the one scene where Jason Statham's getting towed through the water as like basically shark bait.
Right. Yeah.
And that should be at least, I don't know, make my blood pressure rise 1 degree of blood pressure, whatever that is. I'm clearly not a doctor myself, right. But yeah, no, it should make my pulse pump slightly faster. It did not.
No, I laughed, I think.
Yeah, me too.
I agree that, and how do you convey size when, frankly, that shark in prehistoric times probably wouldn't even concern itself with something the size of a
I
human.
was thinking the same thing. I don't think a shark like that would even notice people.
Right. It's
And
not a
it's
filter feeder, you know?
no, no. Like it's not gonna hone in on one tiny little. That would be like us, you know, ignoring salmon in favor of trying to fish for minnows.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as I said, we did this thing on Megalodon, and we read all about it and look up all
Hmm.
about it, and apparently it ate other big sharks and whales, and that's really all it ate.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
mean, people
as
aren't
it's
even on its
chasing this
radar,
guy, I'm thinking like surely there's a pot of whales out there that it'd be more interested in.
right? You'd think
Yeah.
so.
It was getting a little Jaws 4 where they're trying to put too much of a personality on the shark.
Yeah, for sure.
Like this is its mom that came back, did a little research, found you in the
Yeah.
yellow pages, and now
Yeah.
knows where to get you. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But
Chauncey, should
what?
I bring it up or did you want to? Uh,
Which part?
the helicopter crash.
I don't remember what happened with the helicopter crash. Why don't you remind me?
Here's what happened with the helicopter crash. So this is our one of our final beach scenes. Some people on the side of the beach are like, "Hey, what's happening out there? Let's jump in our three helicopters." Then they
Oh, right.
proceed. Then they proceed to crash the copters into each other without the shark's assistance.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. If I was anybody in the aviation industry in Thailand, I would be really pissed.
yeah, yeah.
I'd yell, thanks for representing my people like this.
Making us all look like assholes. Now
Right.
nobody's gonna want to take a helicopter tour.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was ridiculous. And then being the nerd that I am, which we're all our own brand of nerd, but part of me is superhero nerd.
Hmm.
Um, I was interested going into this that Ruby Rose was in it.
Yeah, I thought she did better in this than she does in
Everything else?
yeah, honestly, she had more she did more with her facial expressions. I mean, the last thing I saw her in was John Wick 2. And I told Keely that when she's got that bar scene with Common, it reminded me of two boards just smacking into each other repeatedly.
The last thing I saw her in was the crossover Flash Supergirl Legends of Tomorrow Arrow thing where she plays
Mm.
Batwoman.
Well, I know she's got her own show out of that.
Right. And it is just terrible.
Oh yeah,
Just
like
and
she's not better.
well, I don't even know if I can blame her because the writing is just terrible,
Mm.
but it's terrible. And I
And
love it.
was she an actress to start or
She was a model.
she was a model? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was pleasantly surprised that she was not so terrible, although I find her character somewhat ridiculous. Once again, um, these people are scientists, and I felt that she was like a little too sexy hip.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the long sordid history of this book/movie deal, Chauncey.
There's a
But
book to the Meg.
yeah, you didn't know any of this, did you?
No.
Okay. Well, we've got some stuff to get into. Let me bring it up real quick.
All right.
Yeah, first published in 1997, and the reason the guy wrote the book was so he could get a movie.
Oh,
Yeah, this was specifically a guy who wanted to get a movie franchise rolling, and so like there's a long history with the movie rights getting bought up and then basically shelved for way longer than this guy wanted.
oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Man, I gotta say that's commitment, though. I mean, here we are 21 years later, and it worked out.
that yeah. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Also,
Yeah.
you could look at it as how one man wasted 20 years of his life getting the Meg turned into a movie.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean,
I feel like that knife cuts both ways.
it does. It does. All right. Yeah, I'm just, man. There was a book. I'm astonished.
Yeah, it's actually a series of books, Chauncey.
Oh,
A series of books.
all right. Hang on. Okay, a series of books.
You've got some quick reading to do.
Oh my God, really? That is insane. This
Yeah.
guy had a lot of foresight, though. In '97, franchises. I mean, while they did exist and they were moneymakers, they weren't the omnipresent present thing that they are today.
No. No.
So he's a smart cookie, I guess.
I suppose so.
Did he ever
But
write anything else that you know of?
not that I'm aware of, but I didn't look into it in depth.
Right. You
Yeah.
were just disappointed and had to go wash your eyes out with soap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wonder how well the book was received. I'm going to have to look into that because, like, that is absolutely insane. At first, I was a little scared you were going to tell me it was written by Peter Benchley.
No, but that would make sense. I mean,
It would, because he
it
wrote
would
other
not
ones.
it would not
Yeah.
be surprising.
He wrote like The Beast, which I think was like a giant octopus. I mean, Peter
Yeah.
Benchley covered a couple of these,
No, it's basically Peter Benchley knocked off anything Stephen King related he could.
Right.
And,
Yeah. So, I have to say, I think you touched down on this a little bit earlier. When I saw the shark, I was thinking, that's not that big.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was going to be like a freak shark, like Godzilla shark.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it was pretty big, but it was just like a whale shark or something.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean that's nice that they I assume stuck to some sort of relative accuracy in sizing.
Do you? Do you assume that?
Yeah, well, okay. I'm just saying, considering one of our primary complaints is why the hell does this shark even eating people?
Yeah,
If you make the shark even bigger, that complaint also only gets even bigger.
Well, I don't have any references in my head, but I do remember thinking that there was some inconsistencies with the size of the shark.
Okay.
So I felt like it got bigger and smaller depending on their shots. But maybe that's a depth perception thing in the water. Maybe that's just hard to do.
Or maybe the shark got bigger and smaller depending on the shot. I say trust yourself on this one.
Well, there were two sharks, so and the other one was obviously bigger. So maybe
Yeah.
we were seeing two sharks.
Maybe.
I'm gonna have to go back and read the book.
I'm not going to go back and watch the movie. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. So I gotta say, all in all, I liked it. I like crap action movies. I like stuff like the Poseidon and stuff like that. It's just sort of some fun crap to watch.
All right. This one gets a solid go watch Piranha from me. If you have the inclination to watch the Meg, don't. Just go watch Piranha instead. It's
I'm
more.
I'm gonna have to because I've never watched the remake.
The remake's pretty good, man. It's got a name eluding me from Parks and Rec. Michael, what's his name?
Well, I'm gonna have to check it out because I saw the original Piranha and the Piranha 2: The Spawning, where they were flying fish at the beach resort. That was cool.
Adam Scott. That's it. Our lead character is Adam Scott in it, and
oh, really?
And I like him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a charming nerd.
Like from Krampus.
From Krampus, the Adam Scott from Krampus.
Oh well, I definitely have to watch this then. Yeah. So yes, I guess that's about all I have to say about the Meg. Is I have to sum this up for two people. If you are a fan of cinema, avoid this at all costs. If you are a fan of action movies and have any sort of interest in Jason Statham, this is probably a solid B.
Oof. I would give it a solid C in the pantheon of Jason Statham movies.
Okay, I'll go with you there.
Yeah.
I'll go with you there.
Yeah. I don't think it's quite up to B.
It's on the level on A to B on on A to F on the D list scale.
Yes.
It's a C.
Okay. I'm with you there. I'll back what you said without repeating it.
All right. You got anything else on this one?
That's all I got, buddy.
All right. So if you're given a copy for Christmas, burn it.
Use it for good. Stay warm.
What, like hold up a table?
Yeah.